bring him into this live. In the meantime, I can probably warm you up around the theme that we're going to be looking at today. Let's see. Okay, so let me just do a little something here. So we've been planning for a while to get this 01 podcast going. One as in the first episode. And today we're just about ready to get on with that. And I've been getting a lot of information about what's going on in Burkina Faso and President Traoré, and Dan Kek has kind of been filling me in on what actually has been taking place.
AI generated that has gone viral in
Past this.
Introducing the African Diaspora News Channel app, your gateway to stories that's overlooked by the corporate mainstream media.
At African Diaspora News Channel, we cover stories that don't receive mainstream attention, and we serve as the voice to the global Black community. We are committed to informing and educating through the power of media, connecting the African diaspora one story at a time.
With our platform, we're helping to end injustice by...
I know there's been some issues in that part of the world, and many of the developing African countries have been turning away from the West, Europe and the US for their assistance. Well, a lot of this aid of late has been reduced, if not cut off completely. So many of these countries, even my country of heritage / ethnic lineage, Nigeria, have been, making their own slight changes to who they do business with. I know it's affected the Caribbean as well. Working with China, some people may have things to say about that as an alternative to giving these big long-term deals to companies in the West, where they lose control of their land, their resources, and in many cases, big parts of their industry. So from what I understand, the little I understand, this has been boiling up in Burkina Faso with this new promising young president leader of the country. And he's been like, nah, we're going to do things a different way. So that's some of what Daniel's going to break down to me. In the meantime, I'm going to have a look at this particular channel, which I used to watch back in the day, as a matter of fact. And he's kind of the Africa Diaspora channel, and he's kind of grown by the look of it. So I'm going to let this run for a moment while I sort out the tech stuff and bring Dan into this.
Join us in standing for excellence in journalism and serving our community. Download the African Diaspora News app today.
Welcome to Africa Diaspora News Channel. My name is Lillian Akotuna making this report. The coming days promise to be interesting, so fasten your seatbelt so you don't miss out, cause the West is about to get roasted. Captain Ibrahim Traoré is a man of few words, but when he talks, everyone listens. Well, remember Michael Langley, the US commander to Africa? Remember he leveled some unfounded allegations against the Captain Ibrahim Traoré government? Captain Ibrahim Traoré government responded, but this time around, Captain Ibrahim Traoré himself has responded. Let's watch the video.
As for those remarks, as you mentioned, we have protested through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. That's one thing, but I don't know what happened with this general. There is still a problem, and I would perhaps like him to make a mea culpa. If he was sent, and to understand that this is not the right mission. If he was misled, well, he should say so publicly before the Senate that he was mistaken, or if it was ill-intentioned, well, we will confront him as necessary, because everything he said is a lie. First, he talked about Burkina's gold, which is supposedly what we use to protect ourselves and all that. First of all, it's Burkina's gold, it's not his gold. That's the first thing. What business is it of his? It's none of his business. It's Burkina's gold, it doesn't concern him. Secondly, he's lying, because Burkina never had any gold reserves until we came along. We are the ones who started setting aside gold in the treasury of Burkina Faso. Otherwise, there wasn't a single gram of gold reserves in Burkina. So that means he's lying again. Another thing, when he says we're using it to protect ourselves and all that, we're free to do so. If the people have decided that we should govern, we have the duty to protect ourselves.
Well, let me just summarize all he said. Captain Ibrahim Traoré said he doesn't know why that man, Michael Langley, said what he said, but he's giving him a time frame to either back up his allegations with proof or he apologizes. I think I'm in for the apology. I'm waiting for the apology. It's high time they know. They can't just spew nonsense from their mouth and expect to get away with it. They've seen their match. Captain Ibrahim Traoré has their time. So he either apologizes or he's in for it. Oh, I'm proud of Captain Ibrahim Traoré. I'm so proud to be an African in a time like this. Well, what do you have to say about the story? Because the whites will always be white. They will always keep looking for a black man to fight against the black. The black against the black. And General Michael Langley has availed himself to be a tool used by them on a platter. On a platter. What do you have to say about this? Because he must apologize. We are waiting on him. Yes. We hope to hear his own side of the story. So we are waiting for him. We are waiting for General Michael Langley. Sir, you either apologize or you summon all the evidence. You can. Yes, so you have to summon it because we don't know where it's hiding.
Very interesting.
We are waiting for the evidence. We want to see.
I'm going to run that
What
back.
do you think about the story? Comment below and do not forget to share, like, subscribe, and turn on your notification button.
Because I want to hear that again.
Get roasted.
Right, here we go.
Captain Ibrahim Traoré is a man of few words, but when he talks, everyone listens. Well, remember Michael Langley, the US commander to Africa? Remember he leveled some unfounded allegations against the Captain Ibrahim Traoré government? Captain Ibrahim Traoré government responded, but this time around, Captain Ibrahim Traoré himself has responded. Let's watch the video.
As for those remarks, as you mentioned, we have protested through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. That's one thing, but I don't know what happened with this general. There is still a problem, and I would perhaps like him to make a mea culpa. If he was sent, and to understand that this is not the right mission. If he was misled, well, he should say so publicly before the Senate that he was mistaken,
like a kind of a
or if it was ill-intentioned,
and begun to
well,
brew.
we will confront him as necessary, because everything he said is a lie. First, he talked about Burkina's gold, which is supposedly what we use to protect ourselves and all that. First of all, it's Burkina's gold, it's not his gold. That's the first thing. What business is it of his?
The motive.
It's none of his business. It's Burkina's gold, it doesn't concern him. Secondly, he's lying.
Empirical way of thinking.
Because Burkina never had any gold reserves until we came along. They
don't like the idea of these countries stepping out on their own, as in making their own choices and breaking free from the, you could say, chains of the previous, how can I put it, controlling masters, as in the more powerful countries that a lot of these African countries were tied to and dependent on for all kinds of aid. Well, anyway, I'll let him explain some more.
Once we started setting aside gold in the treasury of Burkina Faso. Otherwise, there wasn't a single gram of gold reserves in Burkina. So that means he's lying again. Another thing, when he says we're using it to protect ourselves and all that, we're free to do so. If the people have decided that we should govern, we have the duty to protect ourselves.
Of course they're free to make those
Well,
choices
let me just summarize all he said. Captain Ibrahim Traoré said he doesn't know why that man, Michael Langley, said what he said. But he's giving him a time frame to either back up his allegations with proof or he apologizes. I think I'm in for the apology. I'm waiting for the apology. It's high time they know. They can't just spew nonsense from their mouth and expect to get away with it. They've seen their match. Captain Ibrahim Traoré has their time. So he either apologizes or he's in for it. Oh, I'm proud of Captain Ibrahim Traoré. I'm so proud to be an African in a time like this. Well, what do you have to say about the story? Because the whites will always be white. They will always keep looking for a black man to fight against the black. The black against the black. And General Michael Langley has availed himself to be a tool used by them on a platter. On a platter. What do you have to say about this? Because he must...
So basically, this is the US flexing their big muscles, you could say, from a military perspective, demonstrating their might as they tend to do in these situations. And Burkina Faso's leader is just not having it. Doesn't sound too unreasonable to me. I'll let her finish off and we'll probably jump into another story while I'm waiting on Dan Kek to come into the live.
Apologize. We are waiting on him. Yes. We hope to hear his own side of the story. So we are waiting for him. We are waiting for General Michael Langley. Sir, you either apologize or you summon all the evidence. You can. Yes, so you have to summon it because you don't know where it's hiding. We are waiting for the evidence. We want to see. What do you think about the story? Comment below and do not forget to share, like, subscribe, and turn on your notification button. My name.
If you want to make a full-time income from home working part-time, you need to know this one concept.
We begin this Sunday morning with increasing calls to investigate and possibly arrest Jim Comey after the former FBI director...
4-year-old Ibrahim Traore is the new self-declared leader of Burkina Faso. He overthrew the president, Paul-Henri Damiba, alongside a group of soldiers.
In a stunning show of military precision.
So, I just want to recap and get some background before we get started on Traoré and how he became the leader of Burkina Faso. Or at least how the media and the West reports him becoming the leader. Although this particular channel, I believe, are based in I think it's India or Pakistan. Either way, yes, let's get into it.
4-year-old Ibrahim Traore is the new self-declared leader of Burkina Faso. He overthrew the president, Paul-Henri Damiba, alongside a group of soldiers.
In a stunning show of military precision and iron-fisted leadership, Burkina Faso's captain Ibrahim Traoré has once again made global headlines, this time for orchestrating a...
So that's how we got to where we are today. Not unusual for an African nation.
Deadly ambush that wiped out over one...
Actually, let me start this again. Yes, freshen everything up. Right, here we go.
Wiped out over 1,000 terrorists in just one coordinated strike. This isn't fiction. This is real-time warfare in West Africa, where insurgents, extremists, and foreign-backed militias have plagued the region for years. But now, The tables have turned. Under the command of Traoré, a 36-year-old revolutionary leader who seized power to defend his nation, Burkina Faso's military has unleashed a wave of counter-terrorism operations like nothing the Sahel has seen before. Backed by cutting-edge intelligence and a fierce nationalistic spirit, Traoré's forces executed a strategic ambush that didn't just neutralize a threat, it sent a global message. Burkina Faso will no longer be a playground for terrorists. In this deep dive, we break down exactly how this operation unfolded, the planning, the terrain, the intel, and the firepower. Who were these 1,000 terrorists? What were their goals? And how did one of Africa's youngest leaders deliver such a crushing blow without Western back?
Forget affiliate marketing, day trading, flipping properties, or starting your own business. They're oversaturated, there's too
backup. This is more than a battlefield story. It's a symbol of rising African sovereignty, military transformation, and the fight for stability in a region on the brink. Get ready, because what you're about to hear might just change how you view modern warfare and the man they now call the Lion of Ouagadougou, a nation under siege, a captain with fire. In the golden dust plains of the Sahel, Burkina Faso had...
Pause this for a moment. Right, so we got you in the stream now. I just want to quickly do this. Right, there we have it. And not necessary. Okay. Daniel, everything okay?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're very loud now. I can say a couple words and I'll adjust you on my end.
Yeah, 1 2 1 2. Too loud? 1 2.
No, you're cool. I've turned you down a bit. You see,
okay.
I think is your your chair high up, or you standing? Because you just.
Yeah, I'm standing up.
Let me see if I can show you.
Let me stand up. Let me sit down.
Can you see the stream? Because it was just chopping off the top of your head.
Yeah, I was standing up. Yeah, I can easily
yeah, that's fully in. You're fully in now. I can see see the whole of it.
Yeah, I'll stand up for this one. So let's just get it going.
We're into it. We're on the runway. So what I've done so far, Daniel, is I just kind of got myself, as well as our viewers, up to date on what this beef is or who it's with. This like General Langley representing the US and Traoré, what's actually going on in the argument. And then I was switching over from the African Diaspora channel, which is an Afrocentric channel I used to watch a while ago. Oh, excuse me, folks. We just got a slight camera issue. One grebbling to another. I'll sort that out. Give me a moment. So, Daniel, if you just take over from a moment, I'm going to sort out my camera.
Okay, so what the issue is? Good day, everybody. What the issue is that we are just going to talk, about the situation that's going on over in Burkina Faso with the great and powerful leader who is the Prime Minister, President, called Ibrahim Traoré. Yeah, and he is making waves at the moment in Africa because of the fact that he's a leader that is standing up for his country, and because of the way he's doing it, he's standing up for the world. He's standing up for the world of Africa, I should say. He's standing up for his people because none of them
the entire continent.
None of them have been brave enough to do it. You know what I mean, Owen? So this is what's going on. None of them have been brave enough to do it. And because they haven't been brave enough to do it and he's doing it, now he's getting backing from two other colonels who are also leaders of their country. and 3 other leaders of their country, and slowly but surely the rest of the world is coming in. Is the rest of, I keep saying the world, excuse me, I mean Africa, yeah, because what happened, as Bob Marley said, Africa unite. Listen, if Africa does unite, right, it's going to be a game changer for the rest of the world, an absolute game changer. So really what I'm saying is that you know, it's very important to be aware of this, because it's not on the media. It's not in the media, as in media, the TV, you know, radio.
You're talking Western media, essentially.
Western
what we see.
media, yeah. It's more in social media, and actually people are actually seeing the power of what is actually going on. They're seeing the significance of what is going on. And then we've got people now, like as we were talking about, Owen, we've got people like Putin, okay, who is backing Ibrahim Traore to the fullness.
That is interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting. He sent. I was going to say his.
So he's turning to looking to the east rather than the west for support.
Yeah, and the thing is that you know, I'm going to just make it plain. I really like Putin, because he's not even playing. You know, something else that I was going to say, Owen, is that what he's doing as well, what he's done, he actually exposed some of the ancient artifacts that they have there. And the ancient artifacts they have there is the Black Madonna and the other black figures, because they have very ancient Bibles, and these Bibles are just depicting it.
You're talking Burkina Faso here?
No, I'm talking Russia
Putin.
here.
Oh, that's interesting. Unusual. Unexpected.
Putin, absolutely, and he's shown the Black Madonna. There's a statue called the Black Madonna, basically, which is, you know, Mary and so on and so forth. And there's quite a few hundred other biblical saints and people who are famous in the Bible, and they're all black figures in this particular Bible that Putin has shown that he gives reverence to. I'm not saying that he's giving reverence to black people or anything like that. He's just giving reverence to something that he knows is authentic and
presenting
ancient.
the archaeology as he finds it.
Yeah. So and also, anyway, back on the point, he's also sent his plane, which is a bit like Air Force One, the equivalent of Air Force One in America. You know, that's what the president flies around in America, which is literally a whole battleship in the air. He sent his plane.
Did you hear the latest news? Trump's trip to the Middle East, they gave him that 600 million. He's got 2 planes. For his administration. Oh, what's going on here with the battery power? I'll leave you to continue on, Daniel. I'll sort out my camera issues.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, they're not playing. So what happens is that he is that's Putin sent his plane. I don't know what that particular plane is called. It's actually got a set of series of numbers, but the American version of it is called Air Force One, and he sent it over to pick up Ibrahim Traoré and 2 jet fighters along with it. Yeah. So these 2 jet fighters now are there, and if they weren't there, I got to say it straight, France and people like that, they would have shot them out of the sky, which would have obviously started a war. It would have obviously started,
that's crazy,
you know, an international incident. Because I've been hearing stuff, I've been hearing things, and I'm gonna say what I've been hearing. Okay, because I've been hearing that the Nigerian president invited Ibrahim Traoré to come over and to discuss on some talks, to talk about a few things, and then Ibrahim Traoré actually decided to just stick a pin, hold on a minute, and then he said he would get back to him. Now, I know this is hearsay at present, but, you know, over time, it will come out whether it's the truth or whether it's not the truth. I'm going to go with the information that I hear, because guess what? I'm a conspiracy theorist, because you know what happened? Conspiracy theorist is usually ends up being conspiracy fact. Okay, so I'm not playing with that. And you know, we're going to go into a few things here, but that is something that's very important that people need to sort of kind of be aware of, is that you can't look to the mainstream media for all of the things and facts that are going on, but you also have to keep your ear to the ground. I know there's that thing called fake news, which Trump coined the phrase of, fake news, but there's a lot going on. There's definitely fake news.
I'll add to that. There's been, if you look at American politics, particularly since Trump's been around and he's coined that phrase, there's been, I would say, leading up to the election especially, there's been a lot of references to what, going back as far as you could say the lockdowns as well. There's been a lot of references to what we regard as being conspiracy theories. You give it 3 to 6 months, are turning around to being conspiracy fact. So in the upside world of fake news and biased, legacy news stations and some of the citizens journalists on YouTube and social media, what people put out now as fake news has to be taken with a pinch of salt, because you give it a couple of stories later, it's proven as fact. So that fake news thing is in a different space than it used to be seen to be in previously.
People, especially, and I'll tell you what brought it out as well, COVID. You know what I'm saying? Because people were saying, there's all these conspiracy theorists, I'm going to go with what the government is telling me. I'm not going to go with what they're saying, because these people don't know what they're talking about. They're not doctors. They're not lawyers and solicitors. They don't know the truth. But yet, look what happened. There's millions of cases that have been sued now. They're suing these people.
What we was told was a conspiracy we've been told now is fact. Okay, I'm gonna have to switch cameras while this camera's charging. So again, I'll hand over to you, Daniel.
Yeah, that doesn't usually happen, man. Oh, no problem. Sort that out, big man. Yeah, so Ibrahim Traoré, I'll just give you a little bit about him. So Ibrahim Traoré, okay, he's born
Daniel,
on the 14th of
and
March.
I've got a video you can reference when you're ready, that I've got queued up on YouTube, that basically just explains how he came to power.
Okay, I'll just talk about what I've got here as well. Okay, so we've got Ibrahim Traoré. Okay, his French pronunciation is Ibrahim Traoré, and Traoré, born 14th of March 1988, is a Burkinabe military officer and politician who has served as the interim president of Burkina Faso since 2022. Okay, Traoré took control of Burkina Faso in September 2022, ousting interim President Paul Henry Sandaogo Diemba, okay, in a military coup. And then and that was when he was age 37. Sorry?
They've got long, big names, traditional African names.
Yeah, that's when he was 37, okay? And age 37, he is currently he was younger then, but now he's age 37. He currently is the second youngest head of state in the world. Okay, during his tenure, Traoré has sought to distance the country from its former colonial power, which is France, and played an instrumental role in founding the alliance of Sahel states. All right, Sahel states, or I should say Sahel states. Excuse me. Yeah. So this is what's going on. So there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on, and the thing is that more and more people, as I was saying, are locking in behind this man because of the power and the presence of where he's coming from with his whole attitude and also his foresight, because he's also, like as I said, he's taken the gold away. He's said to the French, "You are not taking any more gold. You're not taking any more gold away from our country," because they have carte blanche because of some stupid and slavistic, I will say, I'll just make up my own words, slave what you call, the word is agreement, from some slave agreement where basically they come and take in the gold, and then they give, they give guns in return. They'll collect gold and they'll come and give you guns in return. And this was years ago that they started doing this. And if we go to the Democratic Republic of Congo, and we're talking about King Leo the First, King Leopold the First, King Leopold the Second, which is his son. These guys did some tremendous, heinous, evil crimes, which you can go and do your own research online, and find out what's been going on. They were doing that forever, but that was
I know
when
a lot of these deals were common between the past empires and the Commonwealth countries, where they will exchange minerals for military supplies, because if the wars are going on, they're not losing.
Yeah, but the thing is that instead of them coming in and helping to, if need be, settle the war, they're coming in and taking our resources and giving us guns so that we can kill each other.
That's the idea.
And I'm
Divide
saying
and rule. We kill each other, saves them time having to do it.
Yeah.
And then they put in whoever is going to favor them into the leadership position.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So you said you got a video that you want to cue.
Yeah, so
that you've got queued up.
And it's basically just giving an idea of how true some of what you described, how he came about. So I'll run that now.
Become a war drum that refused to be silenced. Blood had soaked too many village paths, mothers had cried too many nights, and farmers had abandoned fields that once sang with millet and sorghum. Yet, in the middle of the chaos, a young captain, Ibrahim Traoré, rose not as a politician, but as a fighter carved from the same stone as Sankara, bold and unforgiving. When his soldiers struck a blow that buried 1,000 terrorists in one sweeping ambush, it wasn't just military strategy. It was the roar of a people reclaiming their land. Burkina Faso had been reeling for years under the weight of insurgent groups, Al-Qaeda-affiliated cells, Islamic State militants, and bandit militias with no god but violence. These groups had not just attacked checkpoints or looted arms. They had killed schoolteachers, burned market stalls, kidnapped girls, and desecrated mosques. They had tried to make fear the national anthem. But Traoré's ambush shattered that song into silence. Operation Tempête de Feu, Firestorm, the ambush that roared. It was not just another operation. It was the culmination of months of tactical planning, local intelligence, drone surveillance, and ground coordination. The military had mapped the terrorist movements like a griot memorizing an epic. For weeks, they watched a major terror convoy snake through the northern corridors of the country. The militants had grown bold, believing the government was weak and the army poorly equipped. They underestimated the new order. Traoré's elite strike units, drawn from the Rapid Intervention Battalion, BIR, and the Cobra Commando Forces, coordinated with volunteer fighters from the VDP, Volontaires pour la Défense de la Patrie, civilians trained and armed to defend their own lands. It was a brotherhood forged in fire, a fusion of army discipline and village heart. On that fateful morning, dawn broke with an eerie silence. No birdsong, no village chatter, only the tense breath of the forest. Then, as a convoy of over 1,000 terrorists advanced through the Arbinda-Tinakov corridor, the trap snapped shut like a lion.
Lisa just sourced and sold on this property behind us. Lisa, what fee did you get for sourcing this property?
Lion's jaw. From above, helicopters unleashed a storm of missiles. On the ground, armored units sealed off escape routes, while snipers took positions along the cliffs. Local VDPs, many wielding only AKs and machetes, moved through the brush like ghosts, striking with precision. The fighting raged for 6 relentless hours. The earth trembled with the roar of battle. And when the smoke cleared, the scale of the victory was undeniable. Over 1,000 enemy combatants lay dead. Dozens more fled, wounded and broken. It was not just a tactical win, it was a roar of defiance echoing across the Sahel. Intelligence is the drumbeat before the dance. The ambush's success was not solely due to military strength. It was the result of deep coordination between local communities and military intelligence. Under Captain Ibrahim Traoré's leadership, Burkina Faso has embraced a grassroots approach to security. The regime has established zones de défense populaire, areas where villagers actively contribute intelligence by reporting suspicious activity.
Wow.
This strategy has transformed civilians into key players in national defense. Market vendors, nomadic herders, and even schoolboys have become the army's early warning system. In this latest operation, a remarkable alliance of Fulani, Mossi, and Gourmanche communities supplied weeks of real-time information. These communities had suffered firsthand from terrorist brutality, burned villages, poisoned wells, and the abduction of children. Their weapon of choice became intelligence. They passed along information quietly, strategically, with a sense of vengeance and purpose. What's unfolding in Burkina Faso is a shift in counterinsurgency, a movement no longer led solely by commanders, but by the people. From the market stalls of Kaya to the pastures of Dori, ordinary citizens have woven a web of vigilance. When the army moves, it does so with the heartbeat of its people. This is no longer a distant military effort, it's the nation itself, clapping back in unity. The rise of the Cobra Forces, Spirit of Sankara reborn. Many soldiers fighting in this operation wore insignias of the Forces Spéciales Cobra, a new generation of fighters forged under Traoré's revolutionary banner. These aren't just gunmen, they are ideologues, trained to believe in sovereignty, in Pan-Africanism, and in the sacredness of the homeland. They chant the words of Thomas Sankara before missions. They do not pillage, they do not rape, they protect. And in the heat of this operation, their discipline and courage turned the tide. Reports say one Cobra unit, outnumbered 3-1, held a ridge for 2 hours until air support arrived. One survivor, a Cobra sergeant named Moussa Diallo, told local media, "We fight with bullets, but also with rage. Not anger that burns, but rage that remembers. Every child kidnapped, every mosque burned. This is not just defense, this is spiritual war." A new Burkina, the land bites back. In villages like Barcelogo, Seitenga, and Kane, where women used to wail in the night, songs have returned. When the news spread that over 1,000 terrorists had been neutralized in one blow, there were spontaneous...
Yeah, sounds quite serious, to see what it's taken to build a nation. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Celebrations in town squares. Drums were beaten. Food was shared. And in some areas, people even painted Captain Traoré's face on their walls.
Basically, he's just torn apart the old ex-colonial tradition of, you're essentially a vassal state to whoever first colonized you, and they just put somebody new in the presidency in a kind of puppet's role until somebody with bigger guns comes and takes over and carries on the tradition of enriching themselves in league with the rest. He's just broken that apart and said, no, we're finished with that. We have to start working for ourselves on behalf of ourselves. And it seems like he's smart enough to create that infrastructure from the grassroots, talking about the villages, up to the politicians and intellectuals.
Yeah, he started from the roots, like you said, the grassroots, right? And got through to the people after he got out all of those evil people that were literally all these different militia that were there looking to basically rape and pillage the land, the people, the resources.
It's a common story.
I can't share screen because I've got a few videos I wanted to show you also with the alliance with Putin. You can type in Ibrahim Traoré shocks the West by Ibrahim. Put in what Putin just told Ibrahim Traoré shocked all of Yeah, what Putin just told Ibrahim Traoré shocked all of Africa. Yeah, in YouTube.
Okay. See what comes up. Shocked all of Africa. Putin vows to supply 6 African countries with free grain. Ibrahim Traoré meets Putin. Everything unbelievable. And Putin says Russia prepared.
Oh, can you show it, or you're not able to show it because of the copyright?
No. You can see what I'm scrolling through.
Mm-hmm.
Russia offers refuse to salute Ibrahim on camera.
Okay, yeah.
Wins
Just
Russian
put
hearts.
that one on.
The one where he wins Russian hearts. Okay, where he meets Putin. Okay.
Yeah, the one that says it's actually the one that says that actual title. Ibrahim
the West
Putin
shocked
just
by
told
Putin's
Ibrahim
secret
Traoré.
gift. Burkina Faso? No.
Actually, the beginning of it says breaking. It says breaking, and then it says what Putin just told Ibrahim Traoré.
Okay, I'll tell you what.
Shocks all of Africa.
I'm gonna run the Traoré wins Russians' hearts during traditional greetings, and then I'm gonna look up the other one while that's running.
Yeah, sure. That one's a good one too because it shows him being.
I've found the #1 cause of unpredictable revenue in a business, and this is a simple.
Go on.
It shows him being accepted by Russia and along with other guests. It's a good one. Yeah.
Let's run that.
По-русски традиция.
Прантули готовишь? C'est pour moi. Merci beaucoup.
Remember, speak French.
They managed to distort history by using this rhetoric, including the history of Africa. They could pass off lies as the truth, leading to some young Africans not knowing Africa's history. My biggest regret is having spent a good part of my youth listening to radios like RFI, France 24. I've been living in countries where these radios were the only ones. We would use the programs, record their news to listen to, but after a while, there was a click. I began to understand that they brainwash us.
I remember our constructive and useful conversation back in 2023 when you visited our country for the first time to participate in the Russia-Africa Summit in St. Petersburg. During this visit, I learned a lot. I learned a lot about culture, about history.
Gonna drop the one you.
Ibrahim Traoré sat across from Vladimir Putin in the Kremlin, but what unfolded next would send shockwaves across the entire African continent. As the two leaders exchanged warm greetings during the celebration of the 80th anniversary of the Great Patriotic War, Putin dropped a historical bombshell that stunned many across the world, but not Ibrahim Traoré. With calm conviction, Putin declared, "About 30,000 people from modern-day Burkina Faso fought as part of the anti-Hitler coalition in the Free France formations, led by the legendary General Charles de Gaulle." That revelation was not part of any trending global headlines. It wasn't in the history books taught in most African schools. And yet, it carried an explosive truth long buried under decades of French propaganda and selective amnesia. The very idea that tens of thousands of Burkinabe men had fought in Europe's deadliest war for a country that now brands Africa as weak, unstable, and dependent hits like a thunderbolt.
This is how to get rid of mosquitoes in under 3 minutes.
Introducing the mosquito lamp, the best gadget to instantly
bolt.
Very brief.
Let's pause for a moment. How many of us knew that? How many knew the scale of sacrifice African nations made for France during the World Wars? And how many of these soldiers were ever honored, compensated, or even remembered? Before we continue, welcome to Azizi Africa, where we bring the African vision to life and make African stories go global. Help us in pushing the message forward as we continue to inspire, educate, and empower. Subscribe now, like, and share our videos, and don't forget to hit that notification bell for our next videos. Now let's continue. In the room with President Ibrahim Traoré were top-ranking Russian officials. Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, Deputy Prime Minister Alexander Novak, Defense Minister Andrei Belousov, Minister of Economic Development Maxim Reshetnikov, and even the head of Russia's powerful nuclear agency, Alexei Likachov. The presence of these figures showed just how important Russia considers its relationship with Burkina Faso under Ibrahim Traoré. But let's go back to that staggering number. 30,000 Burkinabe soldiers. If 30,000 men from just one country fought, how many Africans in total from France's 16 former colonies served in both world wars? Estimates suggest that over 200,000 African soldiers fought for France in World War I alone. Many came from Senegal, Algeria.
And this is something they rarely advertise when they're celebrating the Armistice Day or whatever it was called a couple of weeks back.
Yeah,
you remember
absolutely.
the celebrations? It's all kind of focused on Europe's contributions, regardless of the fact that all of the Commonwealth countries sent soldiers to fight for Europe.
That's right.
Tunisia, Madagascar, and yes, Burkina Faso. During World War II, that number was even higher. These soldiers, often called tirailleurs sénégalais, regardless of their actual origin.
Yes, Daniel. You're saying, let me go back.
Yeah,
to
so you know, we're just wetting, we just want to wet people's appetites, you know, with some of this info. And
I was
really,
gonna say,
you know, give people a chance to think for themselves, because we're not here to tell anybody anything. You know, are we? We're just here to just get information across,
share
very
knowledge,
important information, you
and
know?
educate ourselves at the same time.
And educate ourselves, because you know, knowledge is also power, but it's also helps to give you an overstanding. I like to say, rather than understanding. I like to say overstanding. So you might hear me say that a lot. So yeah, you know, I mean, like, you know, the public might just like to hear, might not understand it, but yeah. So that's what's going on.
I want to
that's what's going on.
Give you a little background to how I came to sort of know or hear about Burkina Faso as that particular African country. Was actually, it was through a kind of funny roundabout way, and it was through an American rapper, JT Biggerfigure, old school rapper from the sort of you know, Snoop Dogg, Jay-Z sort of era, and he's one of the, just dialing back to the present, one of the few Westerners, I would say, who's kind of talk the talk and walk the walk as far as buying land in Africa and actually moving to Africa, rather than just complaining about with activism. Oh, England's a terrible place, America's a terrible place, this and the history. He's packed up and moved his family to Africa, moved his business to Africa, create a label in Africa, rounded up those young rappers and artists who are trying to find a way through, brought his knowledge and experience, and has given them something to work with, while still retaining his activities in the States. San Francisco OG rapper, JD the Bigger Figure. So I'll just go to his channel and give people a little overstanding of what he's about. And I came to hear of him leading to Burkina Faso through his Trapflix TV network and his hood movies. He was one of the first people to start making DIY, independently funded hood movies using 2 iPhones and iMovie to edit it, and he built a whole you know, franchise off of that, on top of what he does in the world of rap. And he's been in the game for a long time. Give an example. This is just a clip of, let me see what we got here. I'm just going to show little clips because don't want to get into the copyright area. So I'm actually not going to play it. I'm just going to do a still. So as you see, this one is featuring Snoop Dogg himself and you'll see a lot of famous rappers and people from celebrities from the black community in his DIY films. So I'll just scroll through, not really gonna play any of them. So I'll leave the information in the description for anyone who wants to go and look up Trap Flicks and JT. What I will play is a bit of what he's been doing in Africa. So this one's JT, the bigger figure. Why do Africans want to come to America? Blacks want Africa, but why? Can you see what he's talking about on this one? Briefly. So this dude, well, he can speak for himself.
Well, the new question and the new topic.
Yeah, I know this guy. I know this guy.
Okay.
Why do Africans want to come to America, and why do Black Americans want to go to Africa? Is there something missing? It's a unique dynamic. It's a very unique dynamic. I have African friends that desire an American visa so that they can come work here. They can come get a job here, possibly live here, possibly, you know, get citizenship. And then I got Black Americans that say they want to get the hell out of America and get to Africa. So which one is right and which one is wrong? Are Africans wrong for wanting to leave their country to come to America in pursuit of a better life, in pursuit of a higher wage? And is Black Americans tripping, leaving the place that still has some dollars? It might don't have a lot, but it has some dollars here, and want to move to Africa where they can't get no money. There isn't a job for them because there's 1 million Africans in each country that qualify for the same job that you think you're going to go to their country and take their jobs. I don't know.
It's not a holiday.
No. You can be smart as hell.
Okay, we got.
It's some Africans that went to college for 8 years and obtained, I think it's called a master's degree.
At the moment?
I never been to college, so I'm not sure if it's called master's or bachelor's or some type of degree. And you go for 8 years and you leave with some paperwork that says you're a doctor or you got a master's degree or something. And in Africa, I met people with master's degrees that was sweeping. They were security guards. And they would tell me, JT, I went to college. I graduated. I was smart. I'm still smart. I just can't get a job. But I'm like, how do you have a master's degree in Africa? And then the Africans don't want to hire you? Or I don't understand that right there. There is so many smart people in Africa, but they say they can't get a job. What is called a doctorate? Imagine going to school for 8 years. I can't even imagine that. As an adult, I got to go to class for 8 years as an adult. When we was in school, we couldn't wait to get out of school. So to become an adult, and then I got to go to school for 8 more years as an adult. I don't know, bro.
I'm gonna drop another one of his videos because I want you to see some of the work he's done with these young Black rappers.
I wanted to. What we need to do, brother, as well, is we need to stop it at certain points so that we can have a conversation as well. Because he can take it and he can go at the pace. He can go at the pace that he's going at, but we want Daniel, to also.
I really want to run the videos. What I just want to do is show a quick clip of some of what he's done in Africa because there's something else I want to cut into before we have a chat between ourselves. It didn't turn out to be the clip I wanted to show, but give me 2 ticks and I want to just show
yeah,
a
yeah.
little
I know what it's
clip
like. Yeah,
of
yeah.
what he seems to be doing in Africa with his projects. If I can just find the channel, let me come off of Trapflix and just go for the JT channel. That might be where, here we go, JT Africa. That's it. I was on the, apologies, I was on the wrong channel there. And this guy goes to the villages, he hooks up with the elders, he knows the system of how you establish yourself and communicate. Right, here we go.
The FBI is warning about a new scam that's made over 200,000 victims in record time. If you want a credit card, please.
It's inviting. The door open. The money talking, the BS walk, so you could definitely pay. But as far as like giving us citizenship, I was like, man, when you.
Some people are moving over there and getting it wrong. Literally going over there trying to do
I know.
big.
I could talk on that.
And then don't really quite make it back.
By the land.
Not the way to do it.
They don't make it. They don't. Well, not make it back.
Dynamic.
Some of them go over there. And what they do is they talk. They go over there and then they try to act the same way that
they act over here in the West.
Yeah.
As though
like,
that can.
How much is that? Oh, really? Okay, give me 12 of those and give me 4 of those and give me. You know, you have to be humble and you have to go at their pace.
Language.
To be accepted.
Yeah. Right. We're gonna just have a little quick few seconds of this and then we'll get back on track.
Yeah. All right.
So this is how he meets with the elders, the people in the local villages, and he connects from the grassroots upwards to the youngsters and young rappers, and then he does his music thing.
So what is he doing now? Is he giving them something? Is he giving them a gift or something?
Yeah, he's when he first touched down, he did 2 things.
Yeah.
He brought water. I mean, the first village I saw him going to, he brought water to the village. So he drilled, brought in all the contractors, drilled down, built a well for them because nobody was providing water for them. And then every time I see him touch in a new area, even if he's just visiting or doing a radio interview or doing a project, he will stop off in the local village, bring them some rice, which is a kind of sign of respect, touch down with the elders, and then he'll go about his business with the street youths and, you know, get down to the music business stuff.
Okay.
So he understands the culture. Yeah, and how you have to relate. Beautiful. See, he was actually invited out there when he went out there to do some work. They invited him out there for a period of time. And then the next thing, I see him building a house and then moving out there. About a few months later, I see him bringing over his wife and kids. So he walked the walk.
This is a gift. The American people, the American love Kaya. Look how we bust this down. I want to bust this down for them.
Okay.
Who in charge?
Just give it to the elder. Yeah, I'm fine. I never find it. I'm
for the brother.
Yes, never found.
He's a hood dude, so whether it's a US hood or African hood, he knows how to move. But some people have gone from the West and tried exactly how you described it, and it hasn't quite worked out. So basically, that's JT figure.
I didn't do our.
Come on, y'all. We prayer time.
We'll probably come round to have a look at what he's about again. I want to just show you one video, if I can send it over to my tablet. And here we go. And then I'm going to hand over to you, Daniel. Now, check this out. Talking about colonialism, African countries, and that sort of thing. Going to play this a few times. It's going to make you laugh.
Sorry, sir. What? Did you say I must go home?
Sir, I'm going home to Brixton later. I'm going home to Brixton. Sir, when you... Sir, why am I here? Sir, I was happy. You asked me why I'm here. I was happy at home in my own country in Africa, swinging from tree to tree, speaking the Uga language. A white man came to me in Africa and he promised me a world cruise where I will not have to work long hours. And my mother, my friend, when we were in Africa in the trees, we saw the...
I think that speaker's calling a Marble Arch.
white man below us, stealing all our resources. My mother said to me one day, let us go back to England and get it back. We arrived at England, Heathrow Airport. The immigration officer said to my mother, how long are you here for? She said, as long as my gold, diamonds, uranium, titanium, cobalt, oil, copper, iron, lead, silver, rice, coffee, cocoa, tea is here, I am here. He stamped permanent resident of the United Kingdom in her passport. My friend, when you Europeans arrived in Africa, I am 40 years old. You spent 400 years in Africa. I've got 360 years left in this country. And if you don't like it, you can... Sorry, sir? Sorry, sir? What, do you say I must go home? Sir, I'm going home to Brixton later. I'm going home to Brixton. Sir! Sir!
Yeah, I mean, Daniel, that's something probably both of us are vaguely familiar with, even in our own... you know, growing up, as we've grown up, that trope of go back to your own country. Look, this is my country. This is where I was born. So it's a funny one.
Yeah, it's a funny one. I mean, it's very poignant. But in this day and time, you can't even talk that kind of talk.
That's what. Yeah, you're right. It's changed.
You know, he can't even say those things, because he could get
you
arrested for
out.
that now. Because of the so-called being politically correct and all that.
And
I call that a lot of BS.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we come from old school, where we can talk to someone and call someone a name and not actually be racist, if that makes sense. But what they will do, we can't say the P word for an Asian person. We can't do that anymore. But then there's people who use it offensively.
Yeah,
you know, and it's not really about that, because, you know, if we're gonna be, you know, if we can do that, then we're supposed to be able to do that and say it across the board for all, and then all can say it to us. But we are the ones that are the most touchy. We are the most touchy about the N-word. You know what I'm saying? But I don't like the N-word. I don't like it per se. But who uses it more in America?
Us.
The black people.
You seen the big blow up on what do they call it in the crowdfunding world, with, you know, those two individuals pretty much being turned into millionaires overnight, or semi-millionaires, just through the donations they've been receiving
from calling the child.
There was the woman who called the child, and there was the guy who you know, the guy who unalived the other teenager at the sports meet. And, you know, both of them, both families have been receiving some, you know, major funds in the from crowdsourcing, just because of the tribalism that's brewing. And the
tribalism it's across the board. It's on one side and it's on the other side. So you know what? Good on them. Yeah. Because you hear what? Nature's gonna deal with them. Yeah. Nature's gonna deal with them. I ain't got time for them, because nature's gonna deal with them. Because I'm very much a spiritualist, and
that's how I look at these things.
There's very much a movement of people that would want to take them out. Take them out physically. You know
and
what I'm saying? But for being disrespectful
thing, tribalism that's been encouraged, and it's been brewing. It's encouraged by some of the politicians with their own motives, encouraged by individuals with their own motives, and some grifters who earn a good living off of the two sides going at each other. Just like the whole what we was talking about with the empire, and African nations being treated like vassal states, and, you know, the leaders making money for themselves. Like vassal states. So they're basically just a vehicle for the dominant country to enrich themselves.
All right.
So
right, I see.
In the historical days when the vassal state will basically pay tithes, you know what I mean, to whichever country defeated them in war, and they lose their basically authority, and they're subjects to the spoils of war. So the whole empire thing, that's how the West treated Africa even after they gave the countries their independence. A lot of them was like vassal states. The West can just go in and take what they want and continue to enrich themselves, put in a puppet leader. So you got a similar thing going on with these arguments and these grifters. It's like you got somebody who's kind of built up to represent something, and they're being enriched, but behind them is somebody else who's kind of gaining more, as long as the two sides keep going at each other.
Very unfortunate. There's also people. There's also they're not only taking the resources, they were also taking beings. They were also taking children. There's a video that was
people trafficking
that went viral. The video that was going viral. That was it was horrible. Where they were that a French plane came and landed down in either Burkina Faso or Congo, right? One of those two countries. They came and landed a plane down there, right, on a runway, some dusty runway in Africa, and basically they knew that there was lots of children around, and they literally rounded up hundreds of children,
like cattle,
right? And they came dressed in like cattle. They came dressed in doctors and nurses' clothing.
Oh, we come to help
and
you.
They came and they rounded up a whole load of children. And the thing is that they rounded them up just literally, like you said, like sheep, put them in one compound.
That's mad.
And the children were making so much noise, right? Crying,
distress.
That what happened was it alerted the villagers, it alerted the people in the area. And they came around, and you know what happened? They came around and they got those people and they made them all sit down along the ground, and they alerted the military there as well, right? And the military came and they rounded up every one of those mofos and made them all sit against the wall on the floor, including the captain of the plane.
Holy moly!
And then
no one escaped.
All the children to go back to their respective
families, and
right. And that was done, and they used to do that all the time. That was nothing for them to do, Owen. That was nothing.
You're saying they just got caught on that occasion? Wow.
Right. They got caught on that occasion. That's what happened. Listen, man, that's evil beyond all recognition. Yeah. And we're gonna go into that another time on another thing about what good and evil is, and a clear example, right, of what is classed as good, and what is classed as the devil, and what is classed as God, and what is classed as good and evil. And then we're going to see clearly what the example is. And the example is the acts that you do. It's very simple.
Actions rather than words.
There's right, there's right and there's wrong. There's right and there's wrong. And then there is wrong on a next level, and then there's, it's just too much. So, we can go into that. We can go into that on another level, bro. So,
interesting.
I don't know what you'd like to go into next.
No,
what do you want to do?
I'm learning stuff from you, Daniel, because when we spoke earlier, you kind of was the one who led us on this path to, kind of cover this Burkina Faso story, because my knowledge was as limited to the, stuff I learned from watching the JT videos, and, once that country was brought to my attention, anytime I saw Burkina Faso or anything relating to it, it kind of ringed up a bell. And I was getting a lot of notifications in the last couple of weeks. They just were coming like 2-3 a day about the president. And I'm thinking, what is this thing building up? And I'm hearing about soldiers being sent from the Congo just to kind of show their support for him. So I'm thinking, is there a war about to start? You know, so when you broke things down today,
what you're talking there is exact. You see, this is why they want to keep it. I know you're a man. You got your ear to the ground, yeah, with things because there's so much going on. You got your ear to the ground, so this is why each one teach one. You know, as they say, iron sharpen iron. You know what I'm saying? So you know, you've got your ear to the ground on that. So I'm going to alert you to what I'm seeing. You alert me to what you're seeing, and that's how we move. But the fact that you know that is actually live and going on now, and
real
not
time.
in the media, like we said in the early
Current
part
history.
of this program, the show, right? It shows you. But you know what? It's very fundamental because
that's true. You know,
see, if
where's BBC?
If Burkina
Channel 4
Faso or the president becomes if Burkina Faso or the president becomes a figurehead, right? And he's going to help
at
to
his young
align
age.
many of the African countries.
Are going to take note.
Bob Marley said, "Africa unite."
There's
a possibility
the fear.
of it happening. Yeah, and if that happens, not if, when, yeah. And because he's such a likable character, he doesn't have a screw face. You know what I mean?
And he's not like the usual warlords, like who just they look mean and militant. Like he's got a pleasant. Daniel, did you hear the story about the French airline and the stewardess? Did you hear that one? Because you know he travels like anonymously. He doesn't use the national jet or.
I don't know if that was true.
I don't know if it's genuine neither. Yeah, you're right.
I don't know, but
I didn't verify that.
I know it. I don't know if you sent it to me or someone sent it to me.
I think
but
someone sent it to me and I passed it on. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
because
I didn't
right
think
now,
to verify that.
If that's the case, you know, France is supposed to be held accountable because
it sounded embarrassing for those concerned. You could see it happening because you know these things happen. That if you don't, you're somebody in a position of power who is not from expected sort of ethnic group or class, or they don't walk showing that they're for money. They're just kind of quietly doing their thing. And then when there's a situation where it's like, okay, look, we need to free up airplane seats or you know, somebody has to be pushed to the side, they're going to go to the most vulnerable looking or less the person who's going to give them the least pushback. So when it comes to rich and poor, the richer people would generally get preferential treatment, like the Titanic. It's like the wealthier people was upstairs, the poor people was kind of locked away downstairs in
the middle floor.
Yeah, the middle floor,
poor people on the middle
which
floor.
was a problem.
And then the suffering people were on the lower floors. Do
even below them, there's even a lower
there was levels on that shit, bro.
And then the guys who were shoveling the coal, they were even lower down.
Lower. They were not allowed to come anywhere near
just shoveling coal.
The working class, much less the first class.
Yeah, so you can imagine that.
People in those categories. People are putting people in those categories and believing that no, I'm better than you. And you know the system who's got the worst system on earth is the Asians, because India, because they.
Oh, you mean the caste system?
Yeah, because that is saying that if you are light,
troublesome,
you'll find this. You can only go into top level jobs, and if you're dark, and the darker you are, right, is only the menial or the low level jobs that you can do. And
you mean like the untouchables, where
the cast of your face, the cast of your complexion. That's fucked up. Sorry.
Yeah,
that's screwed up.
You know, they got that lowest class, and it's to do with the religion, from what I understand it. I think it's the Hindu religion to some extent, whereby they believe in rebirth, and you know, so okay, the people who are in a privileged position are closer to the Brahmin class, where you know they've had so many lives, and the people suffering are supposed to suffer. It's they have to put up with that life and be reborn. It's a kind of convenient, if you're at the top, isn't it? Kind of way of thinking. Those below you stay there, and then you got the lowest class, who are the people that they call them, you know, don't want to sound crude, but basically they're the people who shovel, you know, the cow excrement, and they
shovel crap.
they pretty much call them the shit carriers, but I think there's another term for it that means pretty much the same thing. And actually, not in an insulting way, that is what they do to earn a living. So basically, you got in the rural areas, agricultural areas. So you got the cows. That will be your truck. That's the vehicle pulling your car, and so you've got a lot of the cows and those kind of animals. So when they used for agriculture, so when they drop their mess, though that nothing is wasted. So that is used instead of wood and coal and anything for fires to burn, for your stove or anything else you're burning. I mean, I remember watching it on a few documentaries, and so that class of people, that's pretty much their job. And I think they also have the role of on the farms, because all farms have rodent issues, mice issues at certain times of the year, I think. So and rats. So they'll be the rat catchers, and do all of those undesirable jobs because they're the lowest caste. They can't go into the house of somebody who's above them, like a middle class person. Say they needed a drink of water or something, or they were getting paid. They'll have to stand outside. They got all these funny, it reminds me of early England when they had the service system, where people would go into service, and you had the servants living like at the top of the house or the basement of the house, and that whole class thing where they couldn't go into the main part. And if you want to get messy, obviously the American system and parts of the Caribbean with the sugar plantations, the plantation system, where the master had his house, and certain slaves had access to that.
But it started.
Most didn't.
Yeah, but it started with them.
Okay.
Yes, there's many people that are gonna come on. There's many people that are gonna come on and kind of try to burn what we're saying down by saying, no, black people did it to themselves as well. Yes, we did do it to us, but it wasn't done in the way that you want to believe.
On an industrial scale.
Because on an industrial major scale.
Global
because it was
industrial
done where
scale.
a servant could come into the house, and be treated and eat with the master.
The family.
Yeah, because it was done via a king. There's when you're born into a particular bloodline as a king, then obviously you have your dignitaries, and then you've got people
your chiefs who are like your lords.
Hierarchy,
right.
So, but the so-called lower levels were not looked down upon and frowned upon, even though there was the similar type of system, but it's not the caste system, because everybody was black, everybody is dark skinned, everybody was.
You still have houseboys and housegirls in Africa, isn't it? Sometimes a relative will say, "Look, take my daughter, take my son, because I got how many children." You can feed them, you can clothe them and send them to school.
And in the Caribbean,
in return, they do your chores.
And in the Caribbean, bro. Because at the end of the day, there's many times when girls and boys, or girls would go and do work for other families, for free. But but it's not for free.
There's no welfare state, so they're supported.
Yeah, so they're supported, and it's just a respect thing. It's a respect thing.
Yeah, it wasn't because you're lower
from the way
of no value.
Yeah, but in the beginning, in England, there's the castle and there's the moat, and then there's the people outside the moat. Those people were the have-nots, the so-called low-life.
The peasants.
And then you got the people inside in the castle walls that were the workers and doing what they were doing, and then you got the people above. There's lots of wannabes there that would go out and also be horrible to their own people outside.
Oh,
I
see what you mean.
It's the same thing on all levels.
Passing it down.
But
you get slapped from the king, you slap your servant, your servant slaps his servant slaps, and then someone goes home and slaps whoever they're in charge of in their household. And then the kid slaps the kid below them. That kid kicks the dog. The dog goes after the cat. It just keeps going. It's crazy when you think about it. That's funny too. Holy moly. Yeah, Daniel, I think there's a lot of subjects, rabbit holes, conspiracy theories that may turn out not to be conspiracy theories, subjects we can cover, I think, on these meetups. So I think that they're a good opportunity to share knowledge between each other and to anyone who stumbles across the channel and any viewers who are going to view it in the days and weeks to come. So we should continue this.
Absolutely. We've got to do a little break now. I mean, a commercial break to say, you know, Owen Awadiai is the man that is the person behind all of the setting up of this system and this business here. And
Daniel,
what we're doing is
pause. Your mate. Sorry, I always get carried away with that. Yeah, back to you.
Yes, Barrington. Yeah. You know, one time, you know, Barrington told me, you know, do you remember, Owen? Just to touch on it quickly. I came to your house back in the day when you was in the other part of South. I can't remember where it was.
Battersea, Clapham Junction.
Battersea, I was going to say that. And afterwards, I came there with a clarinet.
Oh, interesting.
You remember I came to your house with a clarinet and we was playing. We was doing some playing.
That must be way back.
That's way back. And
a lifetime or two ago.
You introduced me to some friends you had around there as well, saying, "Oh, this is Daniel. He plays steel pan." But you played. No, you said he plays clarinet. I think you said first, and then you said, "Oh, he plays steel pan." I was like, "Is that the wrong way around, man?"
30 odd years ago.
And Barrington, right? Yeah. Barrington, because I used to carry that clarinet everywhere, right? Yeah. And Barrington was saying to me one time, "Listen, man, you can come and play on my track. You know, you can come and play on my track." I was
the
just
clarinet instead of the sax
because I never considered myself, you know, any kind of a clarinet player. I was just doing it because I wanted to just know what it feels like for
a reed instrument.
Online, one line. What do you call it? Single line instrument.
To play a single line instrument.
To play and what they
rather
do
than a harmonic
like
instrument.
I was really I was really getting into it, you know, and I was taking it everywhere. I was learning blues. I was learning some bebop numbers. I was doing, and I really got into it. You know, it's only because the clarinet mash up, and I never bothered to take it any further. That's the only reason. But Barrington, I know Barrington.
Okay,
because
almost reggae royalty.
Because the person who makes my steel pans, who used to make my steel pans, I used to be like my dad to me, but his daughter was married to Barrington Levy.
Okay, legend.
Yeah, his daughter was married to Barrington Levy, and he used to come around all the time. So I'm going to his house because that used to be a place to hang out. A lot of top steel pan players used to come around to his Biggs. His name is Biggs.
I didn't know those reggae guys had that connection with the pan guys, because I used to see it as like two separate, you know, almost like the orchestral players and the rhythm section
it
players.
Is separate.
Yeah,
no,
but there was
separate.
a bridge between.
The bridge is that Barrington Levy married Biggs's daughter.
Ah, I see.
Right. Yeah. So he married Biggs's daughter. So then he was coming around a lot with his
connection
people.
Was there.
And then there's a lot of steel pan players coming around to Biggs's house because Biggs's house used to be the place that we used to come around and jam. You know, play.
That's funny. I got a bridging called Biggs.
Yeah.
Who I happened to see last night. Yeah. Known him for decades.
He's passed away now, man. He was known for being a really great steel pan player and I mean, I'm sorry, maker.
Wow.
Yeah, and
the amount of players that must have passed through his thing.
Yeah, he was known for making bass pans.
The big bass pans.
Had a nice,
you know what?
growling sound as
Did
well.
I tell you, Daniel, if you believe it or not, that I actually played the melody in secondary school?
Yeah.
Well, for a duration before I started to duck out. The last 2 years, I unfortunately wasn't smart. I kind of left before I should have left, and I had to go back and do my studies like years later, and you know, to get a few GCSEs and O levels under my belt. But when I was at school, I was in the pan orchestra, and we played the melody. Yeah.
steel band.
For duration.
Yeah, I mean that really that instrument introduced a lot of people to music. In a way that wasn't it wasn't like frightening, because you look at
too
it
academic
and you can
neither.
you can hear it and you think, oh, I can do that because it's a drum.
Look, the music teacher,
and then you get in there and you realize it's melodic.
And the common themes, because the music teacher would take common themes from the movies, TV stuff, as kids we kind of hear in our environment, and we'll be learning that. So it wasn't too heady neither.
No. But it taught you to memory, a lot of memory, to be able to retain a musical just from literally
notes in
what's it called?
the head,
rinse and repeat,
and be part of a group.
Over and over again.
And where things are, that repetition, where things are, some to an extent, understanding of dynamics, hard and soft, and just being in an ensemble, because as soon as you said bass, Pan, that's what got took me back to being in the room at school, in the front with the bass, always being at the back with those 5 or 6 drums or whatever there was.
Yeah, you never told me that before, so it's interesting. When we talk,
school ballad,
we can always find out new things about each other.
Daniel, you know what? Look, I remember going to, on one occasion at least, when we went to the inter-school Pan thing, somewhere like Queen Elizabeth Halls or one of those big theatres, where the bands from all over UK, the schools, will come to compete or something. I think we was just there as visitors. We weren't performing. Albert Hall probably was the Albert Hall.
Yeah,
I still have a brief memory of that.
In that 2 years ago.
Wow, interesting.
My two sons played in that 2 years ago. Yeah,
the more we talk,
Pan
the deeper our musical roots. We did things we didn't even know about each other's background. We know a lot about each other's musical backgrounds, and there's still a lot more that we probably don't even remember every day ourselves. It's such a journey.
Exactly. That memory with the clarinet, I pulled that one out of the cobwebs, man. Trust me, you don't even remember it yourself still. I know you don't remember it.
As soon as you said clarinet, I visualized the clarinet because I grew up seeing a damn clarinet sitting in a box for many, many years because my brother was a clarinet player at school.
No.
And then it just sat in the box as he grew older. So I remember seeing that for years. Yeah.
Wow.
Moved from one spot to another. Yeah, so this stuff it's in the environment or ether or whatever they call it. It's been around us.
Yeah, it's in the ethers, mate. That's the place.
Yeah.
So it's been good. And people, just to say, we're gonna get some serious topics down, but we're just homing in, Owen is homing in on the sound and the lighting and everything, and the communication and everything, and Owen's got it pretty down pat right now. So you're seeing a really great production from Owen Awadiai, the man himself, and this is a live between Owen Awadiai and Dan Kek, myself.
CornerSpeak and Mere Diamonds.
From courtesy of Mere Diamonds Entertainment. That's right.
Most def.
All right. Yeah, you'll be hearing a lot of that. So if you want to also come with any suggestions as far as what topics you'd like us to talk about and bring up on the show, we will do that. All right. We'll do that for you. Most definitely. We're also going to be inviting some speakers up that will be talking about particular topics and subjects that are necessary for you to learn about, because as we say, each one teach one, and there's a lot going on in the world, and if you're just going to sit and watch BBC, ITV, Channel 4 and Sky Cable, Virgin, Netflix, and you're only seeing portions of what's going on, and there is a vast, and I mean vast, amount of very poignant, in other words, very important information that you may not get to find out about if you just sit and do the same thing every day.
And listen to legacy.
You can't be sitting and doing the same thing every day. You will not get to where you were supposed to get to if you do that. And you may die not realizing a whole chunk of something else that's going on. And you know what? people are going like flies. Good friends of mine and people I'm hearing about are dropping, are disappearing rapidly. So, you know, there's nothing like now. Now is the time. Now is the time. All right. Yeah,
So
Owen,
if you look up into the clouds, you'll see the Mere Diamonds logo. That's Daniel's entertainment agency, where he provides bespoke groups, performers, DJs, catering if you need it, mainly live band entertainment. So you can look him up on Google. Just put in Mere Diamonds Entertainment. We'll have his links in the description anyway, and any other relevant contacts will be in the description. If you want to get through to myself or get through to Dan Kek, if you want to suggest, send us links for any videos that you might think are worth covering, or just something you wanted to bring to our attention, we're open to being got to. Our contact details will be in the description. So I just want to say thanks again to Dan Kek, and
I want to say thanks again to Owen Owadia.
Yep. To anybody who's caught us on Facebook, anyone who's caught us on YouTube, look out for some clips from this 001 edition of Dan Kek and myself, Owen, at CornerSpeak. And we'll be back at some point in the future for more. As usual, I always end by saying, be good, be safe, and be creative. I'm on my way out. And Dan?
Yeah, right knowledge, right wisdom, right understanding. That's what we're going to be putting across here. So
For now,
I'll say to you, thanks again and peace. Peace out.
We out.